Attention, Steelers Nation. The controversy in Pittsburgh keeps escalating, and the future of the quarterback position seems far from settled. Russell Wilson and the Steelers are at the center of a storm of rumors, conflicting reports, and growing uncertainty that could define the team's direction in 2025. Is Wilson really in the Steelers' plans, or is his time in Pittsburgh coming to an end? Let's break down everything that's happening and what it means for the team's future. Since his arrival in Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson has been seen as a potential savior for an offense that has struggled in recent years. However, the organization has hinted that its interest in Wilson may not be as strong as it seemed. Various reports suggest that the team is heavily betting on Justin Fields for next season. Fields, who came to Pittsburgh hoping to revitalize his career, has generated optimism within the franchise, and the Steelers are reportedly looking to secure a reasonable contract with him to make him the starter in 2025. But here's where things get confusing. While some sources claim the Steelers' plan is to build the future with Fields, other reports suggest the franchise still has interest in Wilson. It has been mentioned that the front office has considered keeping the veteran quarterback, and Wilson himself has confirmed that he has had discussions with the team about his future in Pittsburgh. This has created major uncertainty among fans, who are now wondering who will be the starting quarterback next season. And if that wasn't enough, a new element of discord has emerged in the middle of this dispute: the rumored tension between Wilson and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. According to some reports, Smith denied Wilson the ability to change plays at the line of scrimmage late in the season. If true, this would indicate that the coaching staff's trust in Wilson isn't absolute and could be a sign that the team doesn't see him as the best option to lead the offense. However, this story has taken an unexpected turn. Shortly after these reports surfaced, new sources came out denying the information. Some analysts have suggested that the leak might have come from Wilson's own camp in an attempt to influence the narrative and generate pressure for his continued presence in Pittsburgh. If this is true, it would mean that Wilson and his team are trying to gain support within the franchise, making it seem like the problem isn't him, but rather the lack of trust the coaches have in his leadership on the field. These types of media moves aren't uncommon in the NFL, where players and their agents often leak information to improve their negotiating position or influence a team's decision-making. In this case, if Wilson is truly behind these leaks, it would indicate that he's fighting to stay in Pittsburgh, even as the team seems to be leaning toward Fields as its future starting quarterback. Now, if the Steelers decide to commit to Justin Fields, what does this mean for Wilson? At best, he could remain on the team as an experienced backup, although that seems unlikely given Wilson's history and desire to remain a starter in the NFL. At worst, the Steelers could release him, allowing him to explore other options in the league. But this leaves us with a big question. Is Fields really the best option for Pittsburgh? While he has great physical talent and potential, Fields still has a lot to prove in the NFL. His years in Chicago were marked by ups and downs, and although he has the mobility and arm to be a successful quarterback, he still needs to improve his decision-making and passing accuracy. Will Fields be the one to finally bring stability to the Steelers' offense, or will he just be another failed attempt at finding a franchise quarterback? On the other hand, Wilson, despite being a veteran with experience, hasn't played at his best level in recent years. His time in Denver was filled with struggles, and although he had some solid moments in Pittsburgh, it's unclear if he can still be the elite quarterback he once was in Seattle. The Steelers situation is complicated, and the only certainty right now is that the uncertainty will continue until the team makes a final decision. The big question remains: will Justin Fields be the one to lead Pittsburgh in 2025, or will Russell Wilson manage to stay in the conversation and keep the job? And beyond that, the Steelers fanbase is also divided. Some believe Wilson still has what it takes to lead the offense, while others think Fields deserves a chance to prove his talent. We also can't forget that the contract situation for both players plays a role in this decision. Wilson has a contract that could become a burden for the team if his performance doesn't meet expectations, while Fields still has room for growth and could represent a more viable long-term solution. But there's another factor that could change everything: the NFL draft. If the Steelers decide to look for a new quarterback in the draft, this entire debate about Wilson and Fields could become secondary. There are interesting prospects that could be available for Pittsburgh, and if the franchise chooses that route, it would signal a complete shift in the team's building strategy. The question we now have to ask is, are the Steelers truly committed to either of these two quarterbacks, or are they keeping their options open to find someone else? In the NFL, decisions can change at any moment, and what seems certain today could be completely different tomorrow. And this is where another key aspect comes into play: Mike Tomlin's role in this situation. Tomlin is a coach who has proven to be loyal to his players, but he has also made it clear that his priority is winning. If he ever feels that neither Wilson nor Fields is the answer, he could push the front office to look for another option. Will Tomlin be willing to put his trust in Fields to lead the team, or will he prefer Wilson's experience? All of this leads us to one clear conclusion. The quarterback situation in Pittsburgh is far from resolved, and the next few weeks will be crucial in determining the team's future. But this doesn't end here, because a shocking news story shakes up the AFC North and could change the division's landscape forever. According to a Pittsburgh legend, Myles Garrett's future could take an unexpected and alarming turn. The star pass rusher for the Cleveland Browns has formally requested a trade, and while many expect him to be sent outside the division, former Steelers player Rod Woodson has made a chilling prediction. Garrett could end up with the Baltimore Ravens. Yes, in Baltimore, the direct enemy of Pittsburgh. But how did we get to this point? To understand, we need to go back to the issues that have plagued the Cleveland Browns in recent years. From the controversial acquisition of Deshaun Watson and his massive guaranteed contract to questionable decisions in free agency and the draft, Cleveland's franchise has fallen victim to its own mistakes. Now, with Garrett wanting out, a chaotic scenario emerges where anything could happen. Why does Myles Garrett want to leave Cleveland? Although Garrett has been the face of the Browns' defense for years, frustration has been mounting. Despite his immense talent, Cleveland has failed to establish itself as a true Super Bowl contender. Season after season, the team has struggled with consistency issues, coaching staff changes, and instability at the quarterback position. In 2024, despite another stellar individual campaign, Garrett watched his team once again fall short of competing for a title. With 14 sacks and 3 forced fumbles, he finished third in the Defensive Player of the Year voting, but that wasn't enough to change Cleveland's reality. With his prime window still open, Garrett seems to have concluded that he needs a fresh start in an organization that can truly contend for a championship. Could the Steelers make a move for Garrett? This is where things get interesting for Pittsburgh. In terms of talent, the idea of Myles Garrett playing alongside T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Cameron Hayward is a dream scenario for any Steelers fan. Pittsburgh's defense is already formidable, but with Garrett on the line, it could become the most dominant unit in the NFL. However, there are significant obstacles to making this happen. First, Cleveland is highly unlikely to trade its best player to a division rival. Unless the Steelers offer a deal that's impossible to refuse, the Browns would prefer to send him to an NFC team or even an AFC contender outside the North. Second, there's the financial aspect. Garrett still has 2 years left on his contract, and his salary isn't cheap. The Steelers would need to make major financial moves to fit him under the salary cap, which could compromise other key areas of the team. Baltimore, the most realistic destination for Garrett within the AFC North? Rod Woodson, who now works as an analyst for the Ravens, believes Baltimore could be the most viable destination within the division. In a recent interview with Rich Eisen, he made it clear that the Browns have made mistakes in the past, and if they don't handle this situation correctly, they could end up strengthening one of their biggest rivals. You just have to wait for them to make a mistake and send him to the Ravens, Woodson said. The logic behind this idea is simple. The Ravens are a team that is always in the playoff race and have shown they aren't afraid to make bold moves to improve their roster. With an offense led by Lamar Jackson and an already elite defense, adding Garrett would make them a serious Super Bowl contender. For the Steelers, seeing Garrett in Baltimore would be a nightmare. Not only would they miss out on reinforcing their own defense, but they'd also have to face him twice a season for years to come. What if Garrett ends up outside the AFC North? Despite all the speculation, the most likely outcome is that Cleveland trades him outside the division. Teams like the Chicago Bears, Atlanta Falcons, or even the Houston Texans could be willing to pay a high price for a pass rusher of his caliber. If this happens, it would be a relief for Pittsburgh, as they would avoid facing him twice a year. However, the NFL is an unpredictable league, and until a trade is finalized, anything can happen. What's next for the Steelers? Regardless of what happens with Myles Garrett, the Steelers have other concerns heading into the 2025 season. The offense remains a major question mark, especially at the quarterback position. Will this be the year Kenny Pickett takes the leap and establishes himself as the team's leader? Or will the Steelers explore other options in free agency or the draft? Additionally, the offensive line remains a priority. With an elite defense already in place, the key to Pittsburgh becoming a contender again is improving protection and providing more weapons for their quarterback. But that's a topic for another story. In our next video, we'll analyze the Steelers' possible moves in free agency and the draft and how they could impact the franchise's future. So don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Now, we turn the question to you, Steelers Nation. What do you think about the possibility of Myles Garrett being traded? Would you like to see him in Pittsburgh, or do you think his final destination will be another team? Leave your thoughts in the comments because a rumor has been circulating throughout the NFL, and it's one that has made many wonder if this could be the move that transforms the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers. There is talk of a potential trade with the Arizona Cardinals to acquire their star quarterback, Kyler Murray. This rumor is not just an idle idea, but a conversation that is gaining momentum and could completely change the direction of the franchise. But is it really a good idea for the Steelers? Today, we'll dive into the details of this possible trade and explore why it could be a smart move for Pittsburgh. Before getting into the details of the trade, we first need to understand who Kyler Murray is and why he's been so heavily mentioned in trade rumors. The young quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals entered the NFL in 2019 as the first overall pick in the draft, creating great anticipation. His style of play is electrifying. He has impressive mobility, the ability to extend plays with his legs, and a powerful arm capable of making long throws. However, despite his enormous talent and the high expectations placed on his shoulders, Murray has been a controversial figure due to his inconsistency. At times, he has shown his ability to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but he has also struggled to stay healthy and maintain consistency in his performance. This kind of ups and downs has been a constant source of frustration for Cardinals fans. While some of his issues have stemmed from a team environment that hasn't fully solidified, Murray's inconsistency has also hurt the team on an individual level. In his early seasons, he's been able to make impressive plays, but his lack of consistency and injuries have kept him from leading Arizona to the NFL elite. The Arizona Cardinals have been clear about this. In the near future, Kyler Murray is their quarterback. The Cardinals' head coach, Jonathan Gannon, has openly stated that it is 100% likely Murray will return for the 2025 season. However, football is a business, and things are never as simple as they seem on the surface. As the 2024 season approaches, the situation with the Cardinals is complicated. The team is in a rebuilding process, and their focus is on strengthening other key areas of the team. It's important to remember that Murray's contract is one of the largest in the league, and while the talent is present, some analysts believe Arizona could be more competitive if they invested those resources in other positions. This is why there is talk about the possibility that the Cardinals might consider a trade, especially if they feel Murray is not the key piece for their immediate future. Furthermore, if Arizona is truly looking to pivot toward a deeper rebuild, moving Murray and his contract could be a financially savvy move, freeing up salary cap space to bring in young talent and strengthen the team in various areas. This is where the Steelers could come into play. Now, what about the Pittsburgh Steelers? The Steelers' situation is entirely different. While the Cardinals are in the middle of a rebuild, Pittsburgh is in a window of opportunity to compete for the Super Bowl. With an elite defense led by the incomparable T.J. Watt, an improving offensive line, and a receiving core with a lot of potential, the Steelers have the pieces necessary to fight for the championship. But the quarterback position has been a problem for the past few years. Currently, Pittsburgh has two options for the quarterback position, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. However, both players are far from being considered the long-term answer. Russell Wilson, at 35 years old, is clearly in the final stages of his career. While he has great experience, his best version seems to be in the past. On the other hand, Justin Fields is still struggling to find his rhythm in the NFL and prove that he can be a consistent passer. Both quarterbacks have been inconsistent and have left doubts about their ability to lead the team to the top. This is where Kyler Murray comes in. At 27, Murray has the youth and talent to be the missing piece in Pittsburgh's offense. His ability to extend plays and his capability to make difficult throws make him a threat to any defense. Additionally, his style of play would fit well in the Steelers' system, which has historically favored quarterbacks with improvisational skills. Murray could not only be an upgrade over Wilson and Fields, but he could also be a key piece in improving the offense, which has struggled to find stability since Ben Roethlisberger's retirement. The Steelers also have a significant financial advantage, with around $40 million in cap space for the upcoming season. This would allow them to absorb Murray's contract without compromising their long-term salary cap structure. On the other hand, if the Cardinals decide to trade Murray, they would save $12.4 million, which could be an incentive for them to consider the offer. Here's where things get tricky. Despite the possibility that the Cardinals might consider trading Murray, there's still the question of how expensive this move would be for the Steelers. According to Nick Wright, a Fox Sports analyst, the Steelers would likely need to offer a couple of first-round picks to acquire Murray. This is a significant investment, but it could be a worthwhile one given the talent Murray would bring to Pittsburgh's offense. The dilemma here is that, while the Steelers have the salary cap space and a team ready to compete for a title, the cost of this trade could be steep. Furthermore, it's unclear if the Cardinals would be willing to part ways with their quarterback at this time, as they still see him as a key piece of their future. While the Steelers are motivated to make this move, the reality is that the Cardinals are probably not as willing to let Murray go right now. Despite the rumors, Jonathan Gannon's recent statements and the Cardinals' intentions to be competitive in the short term suggest that trading Murray is not a priority for the team. However, the NFL is full of surprises, and in the world of football, everything can change in a matter of days. Trading for Kyler Murray could be a strategic move for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who desperately need to find stability at the quarterback position. However, the cost of a potential trade and the Cardinals' situation could make this move complicated. But as always in the NFL, nothing is certain, and this rumor could become a reality. The question is, should the Steelers make the move and bet on Kyler Murray's talent? Or should they stick with their current options and look for long-term alternatives? Let us know what you think in the comments. Would you like to see Kyler Murray in Pittsburgh? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any exclusive Steelers news. See you next time, Steelers Nation.